Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 10 News Live, a discourse with David Nair on air. Today's conversation touches every home, every culture, and every generation. In fact, the requests had come in from a number of followers from different countries. And due to that, we decided to run this, the topic being entitlement mindset, a recipe for disaster if not handled properly. Whether you come from an extended family system like we see in India, Nigeria, and Malaysia, or a more individualistic culture like what we have here in Australia, entitlement, friends, is emerging as a silent emotional epidemic. And unfortunately, unless we tap it and look at how we could fix it, this is going to flourish. It'll be worse than, in my view, the pandemic that we had a few years back with COVID. And this is not on a physical stance, it is a mental stance. So, hence, it's much more disastrous. It shapes how our children grow, how our families interact, how teams work, and how society flourishes, my friends, or fractures. Choice is yours, depending on how you handle this scenario. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have asked and have an important person with us to help us explore this entitlement mindset form. We are honored to have Dr. Alka Chara, a seasoned medical practitioner, author, NLP, and at the same time a wellness mentor with over 30 years experience in understanding human behavior and resilience, working with us over the last 3 to 4 years, and obviously emotional well-being. Alka, to kickstart, can I please get you to share a little bit about yourself and where you have come up to with us connecting today?
Hi, David. Yeah,
Hi.
to this platform after a very long time. Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be here on this platform. And
Well,
now I'm a part of the MRM, and I'm a part of Fire to Wire. So I know what goes on in making this platform such a beautiful platform. I want to say that today I'm a doctor, but the stories that I hear in my clinic, and today I was talking to one of the women, the stories of the people who are above 50, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, sometimes even the youngsters, sometimes they have been written down in the walls of my wall, in the walls of my room where the my consulting room is. And when the people share their stories with me, I feel the pain and I realize what is happening in the world. Entitlement is different, but about me, when you're asking me, for me, I come from a background of four daughters, and my father, he always taught us to be adaptable, to be like the bamboo tree, to be like water, and to be flexible, to not be egoistic, to be resilient, to be egoless. The most important thing he taught us was that. And more than that, he never spoon fed us. He never spoon fed us, and he told us to stand on our own 2 feet. So basically, he told us, figure out your life, but be adaptable. So I come
mm,
from that kind of a mindset, and we are from a family of four daughters. So I never had anything like entitlement in my life. So that's where I come from. And today I'm a speaker and I talk about many of these topics. The patients who come to me in my clinic, they actually shape me. I learn from them, and I've learned so many things from them that I can write a whole book on that. So over to you, David. Thank you really for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's interesting because our relationship with Alka goes about 3 years when she first joined MRM.
Yeah.
And obviously, we got to know one another even more when I made the road trip with another partner that came from South Africa, a follower of MRM, and her name's Enda. Now, all of us together are driving this idea of mental resilience to as many people out there,
Yeah.
attacking subject by subject, which we hopefully can help get a better exposure for individuals in that marketplace. Okay, if I can just kickstart with a question that actually works with family and culture. Okay, now Across India, Nigeria, and Malaysia, the extended family forms an emotional backbone. In your experience, do joint families help reduce entitlement by teaching, sharing, and cooperation, or can they sometimes help them also in enabling it? What's your thought on this?
So let me tell you one thing that I propose joint family. I live in a joint family. I'm living with four generations in one house, and they should be. I see that today what the young community thinks is that they can live all by themselves. It's really
Right.
not true, because if we need a village, we need a village to take care of us as we were little children, and the concept of interdependence has to be understood. I cannot live without you, you cannot live without me. Somewhere, sometime in our lives, we need each other. And this concept has to be clearly understood, whether you are living in a nuclear family, whether you're living in a joint family. I always support a joint family because there are innumerable advantages of that. And the children, especially in the joint family, they learn a lot from the elders in the family, and the mental health of these children in India, especially, I've seen, is much better because they can always go on to somebody and they can ask questions and they can get answers, and they can get a lot of support from the elders in the family. Also, they get support from each other, the cousins who are living together in the family. Today we may not have those kind of families, but even the families that we have, they're very good, and I think that when we stay together, we live together, we learn together, we grow together, we laugh together, and that's what I feel is the advantage of having a joint family. Having said that, the family is the first organization that a child comes across, and he
Hmm.
learns all the leadership qualities, all the team spirit, and everything that he has to learn in his profession, he learns right there in the house. If the parents and if the elders are not going to show leadership and they're not going to show cooperation, and they're going to spoon feed the child, then no matter where the child is, whether it's nuclear or in the joint family, the child is going to be spoilt and he's going to feel entitled. The spoon feeding concept has to change. In our country, the boys or the girls, everybody is spoon fed a lot. So that's where I'm coming from. Over to you, David.
Right, right. Now, joint families can reduce entitlement from what I see you talking about, but the key element also is by teaching, sharing patiently, and having this respect for hierarchy, not from an egoistic perspective, but an edification perspective. Do you think that can actually enhance and enrich relationships, which in turn impacts their daily life?
Absolutely, David. Relationship, we need to know each other. We need to understand each other. We need to empathize with each other. I remember there was this woman, she was asked, she was a health professional, and once she was asked, what is the definition of a civilization? And what she said was, if you fracture your femur, your thigh
Mm,
bone,
mm,
what is the essence of civilization is that when somebody fractures. So let me ask you a question: if somebody fractures the femur, how does that person live? He cannot live, he's going to die, because he cannot move, he cannot move. So the sign of a good civilized world is when this person who has a fracture is helped by other people to heal the wound, to heal the bone, to heal the fracture, and to be able to move his body so that he can go and get some food and water for himself. In the animal kingdom, if the fracture happens in the thigh bone, the animal is dead. But in the human kingdom, the sign of civilization is we can help this person. And that's what I mean is by a family or by people and friendship around you. Now, the thing is, are we doing that in our families? I think we are doing that in our families. Now, when we are living in a joint family, we care for each other automatically because we are there for each other, and we learn what it is to be having problems in our life and how the other people are helping us. If there is little food, we share it amongst ourselves. If we have more food, we enjoy together, we celebrate together. So I think joint families are teaching us a lot about sharing and caring and about relationships, and we also learn from each other. The cousins and the children who are together, one is small, one is big, one is not so big, one is not so small, when they're treated equally in the house, then they learn from each other. But if we have a children, when we have in a nuclear family, who are treated like kings and by queens like princess, and they're given food, and as if to say they're born in a with a silver spoon in their mouth. Then they get
Mhm.
into entitlement, they get spoiled, and we are the ones who are spoiling our own children today.
Right, right. Now, extending on that, this overindulged by multiple caregivers, children can be overprotected. Now, your perspective, how do you refrain from making sure that boundary of overprotection, especially moms for the boys or dads for the girls, and saying, I'm taking care of it, but in actual fact, there's an overprotection mindset coming through. How does that impact our thought process here?
You see, the thing is, I was told if I had a fight with a friend, and I went and told my dad that so and so is this, so and so is doing this, so and so is doing that. My dad said, "Figure it out. Don't come and tell us your problems. Okay, you have to figure out." And one sentence that my father always said is, "Get along with people. Learn to get along with people." And that, David, has played a profound role in my life, because as a child I was taught, get along. Don't bring ego into your life. If she is fighting, he is fighting, he said this, he didn't say this, she said this, she didn't say this. My father never listened to all this. My mom, she never listened to all this. She said, go and get along with people. So we had to understand people. We had to understand why they're doing what they're doing. Otherwise, we're alone. We won't have anyone to play with. If I want a friend to play with me, I have to understand that so and so did something because of so and so reason, and it's okay. I have to play with this person. So you look at the little children. I've seen my little child in my own house. He doesn't care who said what to him. He wants someone to play with. That's what he wants. So children are like that, and there's lots to learn from children. Now I'm saying this because I was taught like that. And as an adult also, I'm taught like that. Now my son also does the same thing with me. I ask him a difficulty, he will say, figure it out. Go to YouTube and learn your technology. I'm not here to teach you. I'm not here to spoon feed you. So I never got any spoon feeding, and that is good for life, because then you go to struggle. You become that butterfly through the caterpillar thing. You go through the pain, and when you go through the pain and the struggle, then only you can be uplifted. So I think you can support each other, but if you support each other too much, then you're going to be uh, making the progress very, very slow, or no progress at all. So take care of
Yeah.
that.
And when you support too much, you become spineless, and that happens if you don't have a backbone. What happens? The whole thing just collapses, and that's life. Let's move on from the idea of culture and family on through to another favorite topic in this whole subject called global generalization. How does this impact the mindset topic that we have on hand today? Around the world, we are seeing entitlement in younger generations. And this has come to the forefront with companies, with families, with institutions. So, my point is very simple. Is this because traditional family structures are weakening?
David, today, if you look at the value systems, what are we preaching to our children? Are we even practicing it? We tell our child, go to bed early. Are we going to bed early? We tell our children, do not watch TV. Are you not watching TV? We tell them, come on, get up in the morning, go for exercise. Are you going for exercise? We are not even practicing what we are preaching. We are not role models for what we are doing. I remember as a young girl, my dad got up in the morning. He went to play badminton. He went to play tennis. He was doing his walks. He was teaching badminton. He was teaching swimming, and he made me do all of those things. However irritated I was, he said, "No, you got to do it." And when I was married, I remember that I used to be in my kitchen. I was making tea and all that in the morning, and even when it was raining, he took his umbrella and he was walking in the rain. I still remember. In the rain, also, he used to take his walk, and he used to tell me, "What is it that why can't you come for a walk?" Now the thing is, when somebody, they're not telling me to do it, they're doing it themselves, and then you feel ashamed of yourself. Ki, oh my God, my papa can do it. Why should I not do it? So what are we teaching our children as parents? That is number one. And the values is not to be taught. The values are caught. I remember as a young mother, somebody had come to my door, and I was getting some construction done in my house, some tiling done and something like that. And my son was very small. He must have been some 6 or 7 years of age. And he went to the door, he opened the door, and there was a contractor there for asking for money. And I had already told him that if the contractor comes, tell him that I'm not at home. So he didn't say that I'm not at home. He said, Mummy says that she's not at home. So So it was such a slap on my face, that we teach our children to tell lies. You don't want to see the contractor, you don't want to give him the money, then it's your problem. You face the consequences. You go to the door, tell him whatever you want to tell him. You can't tell your child to tell lies. And many times it has happened in my life also. So what are we teaching our children? What are we practicing ourselves? Are we truthful enough to face our own problems? Are we actually carrying our problems with us on our shoulders, and then we are putting it on our children's shoulders? Some of the parents have seen, I didn't become a doctor, so you should become a doctor. Come on, now this is
Yes.
not fair. This is not fair at all. I couldn't do engineering, now you have to become an engineer. You put your dreams on the shoulders of your children. That's again not fair. So, what are we doing with our children? Are we giving them the freedom to do what they want to do? Are we giving them thoughts? Like, I remember one quote, they said that they are not your possessions. You leave them alone and let them have their own thoughts. You can guide them, but you cannot own their thoughts. So, these are the thoughts which are coming to my mind. And I think as a family, it's the value system that we are practicing as parents, as adults, and that's what is going to make our children strong and help them to, and that will become their uh, to how to navigate life. The values becomes their way of navigating their own life. If we don't teach them good value systems, if they don't inculcate the good value systems, they have no compass for their life. The compass is the values which they have, which help them to navigate through life. This is what I think.
So true, so true. And that's why I've always used that emphasis. Unless you've done the walk, don't do the talk. And many don't follow that principle. And you can see that even in the coaching fraternity out here, the number of webinars that are running, where half of them are promoting things that they've not even done. And more important than that, they don't even know. They just read from some research, they've read some books, and they're now regurgitating that out. If they do that to the audiences, what are they doing then to the individual at home? What are they doing to the family? What are they doing to the child? That's the question. And the other side of it, the recipient of it, will
Yeah.
then make a mess out of it. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that they don't see this. And when they don't see this, where are they going to go with it? The ultimate is a fracture in the family. Bottom line,
I'll give you an example, David.
please.
A small child is looking for attention from the mother, from the father, or from the near and dear ones. Do you know something? He can smell when the child is not getting the adequate attention. When the
Hmm.
today today I saw it with my own eyes. The mother is, her thoughts are somewhere else, and he's asking for the mother that, mama, listen, what, see what I'm showing you. And she's telling that I'm seeing. So actually she's seeing, but her mind is somewhere else, and the
Yeah.
child can smell that. The coachee and the coach, when you're coaching somebody as a mentor and a mentee, when you say something which you have not done it, when you're not gone through it, you don't have the passion, you cannot show the passion, and they can sense it. The mentee can immediately sense it. What you're saying is so true. Over to
And
you.
and 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 the interesting thing is, you set up systems for people. You're helping people out there, and
Yeah.
some of them take it for granted. Are you back?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And they said it's okay for them to walk in 20 minutes after and then expect, I'm here to be a speaker. Why aren't I speaking?
yeah.
Okay. And at the same time, they don't have that concept of edification. And this is where the fracture goes down. The value system goes for a toss. And from MRM, for example, let's just talk about that. The
Hmm.
number of modalities that we put in place to gear up personal excellence, not personal perfection, personal
Yeah.
excellence, to get that value right. And unless we practice that, which most families have, but unfortunately have not been able to steer it because of these boulders. They're not flowing like water, like what you keep saying out there. So they need to learn to flow like water.
Yeah.
Now, my next question to you, these traditional structures are weakening. Okay. As they weaken, what are we now doing as role models? Who are they going to follow as role models?
Their role models are the actors, the media. The media is
Okay.
the role model. And I wish that they could take the Lionel Messi, they could take Ronaldo, or they could take the very great people in the media. But they always take the movie stars as their role models, and they try to imitate the movie stars. And today, let me tell you, David, the media is driving us crazy. And the social media is again driving us crazy. The role model, they don't have any role models, David. A person who is showing something lies on the social media, on the Facebook, on the Instagram, who shows himself a little superior to him is his role model. He wants to compare himself with that particular person, and that comparison is so low. And I can tell you that it brings about a feeling of loneliness. It brings about a feeling of my cup is not full, low self esteem, low self worth. But actually, everybody else is struggling in the same way. We all have the same pain. We are going through the same pain, but we don't want to share it. So I think most important is about sharing with each other what we have, and that's the advantage of being in a joint family, David. It's easy to share because you're all the time available in front of everybody. You can share your problems. But today, role models are not there because we don't look at books. Nobody reads books. My father used to read Swami Vivekananda books when I was 3 years old. My dad had given me a book of his lifestyle, of his life, and after that I've been presented with so many books of Swami Vivekananda, and he read the stories of these leaders to me as a young child, and many other leaders, not just this one. And even scriptures, my dad read out to me from the Gita. He read out shlokas to me. He explained the shlokas to me, and he always told me how you can apply them in daily life. So these are our role models. Our books were our role models. Our parents were our role models. But today, I don't know how many of us parents are teaching our children all these things because we are not reading them ourselves. So I'm also ashamed of that because I haven't told so many things to my own children. I do what I do, and my children can follow whatever they can follow. But now I'm thinking it's high time that we have to bring our scriptures and our culture to the forefront to show to the youngsters. So role models can be made, role models can be followed, and I'm doing it in a very subtle way by interviewing my senior citizens and asking their life stories and recording their life stories and showing it to the world so that we know what is resilience, we know what is adaptability, we know how to go through life. Life is not a bed of roses. Life is not a nice time to sleep and to sing and hunky dory. Life is what happens outside of your mind. Life is what happens in actual life, and that's what the children are not understanding because we don't make them understand, David. We keep them protected all the time. We don't tell them. I remember a friend of mine, she told me that the grandmother has died. So I'm not telling the child. I said, why not? Tomorrow he's going to ask you, where's the grandmother? She said, no, he'll be very sad. I said, yeah, let him be sad. Let him go through that sadness. Why are you hiding this from the child? So we have become weak as parents, and we don't want to take the responsibility of sharing that news with the child, and we are making our children weak. We're not making them experience the real life, what it is actually. That is the reason what is happening today. Over to you.
And this is the unfortunate thing that that standard has diminished from our parents and their parents and their parents. That
Yeah.
standard of being able to do that, because
Yeah.
as you said earlier, the caterpillar story, they need to travel through that cocoon to actually
Yeah.
strengthen the cartilage. By the
Yeah.
time they come out of that cocoon, they can showcase to the world the beauty of the caterpillar rather than just flipping and flopping, and within a day they die because the cartilage is not strong to flip their wings. And that's what's happening to all children out there, most children, not all, correct me, out there, because that exposure is limited. And one of the key things that you've seen me talk about this, the three areas that we focus on when it comes to education is obviously mainstream education. The second is exposure, and many do not have that. This is why we are running this topic, entitlement, as an exposure topic, an awareness topic for people out there to understand. It just doesn't sit in the home front, it just doesn't sit in the extended family front. It is across all countries that are actually practicing this extended family. And four come to name within us currently, people are members of MRN. That is Nigeria, India, Malaysia, parts of South Africa, certain parts of Europe. And unfortunately, people don't see this. These extended family concepts are practiced there. And therefore, the entitlement concept flows into them. And therefore, I would like you to now open up the subject from patient's perspective. How victimized are some of the elders because of what's happening due to entitlement that you have, without mentioning names?
So, as a child, I was not entitled, and I never entitled my children because I never even gave them money to come by a rickshaw from the school. I told them you have to walk, go up, go walking, come back walking. I didn't even have the money to give them money for the rickshaw, frankly speaking. And, and I had my car with me, but it was a rented car, so I never ever dropped my children to school. And some people always told me, "You are such a monster mom, and such a cruel mom, and you don't give them all the comfort in life." And I said, no, I don't believe in giving comfort, because let them struggle, let them go through it. So that's where I come from. Now, coming to the scenario today, the children, the smallest of the children, they are given so many toys and so many gifts and so much of everything, but there is no intangible knowledge. Nothing like in, like, I remember my child coming to, the little one coming to my room. I will show him the Gayatri Mantra, the Hanuman Chalisa, and we play those music, the Tibetan music. And I can, when I sit like this with my hands closed like this, they sit, my child also sits like this with hands closed. So they imitate the parents, they imitate the elders. So I would say that exposure means we are not exposing our children to the right kind of culture, that is our Indian culture. And because of that, they are becoming more and more westernized. Like you already pointed out, they are following the West. America, they are getting more Americanized. And the American people, my sister is in America, she is more Indianized. Her children, they know all the Indian scriptures, shlokas, and they do it, and it's by heart, and they practice it. But in our country, we are not at all doing that, and that is the saddest part. I feel so bad that our own children, they don't know our own shlokas and scriptures, because if they do know that, they will know the meaning of that. They will know the meaning of breath. You know, breath work. Breath work is come from India. It was originated in
Yes.
India, and those people are writing books and books and books. So my question is that what are we teaching our children at the end of the day? Are we teaching them the right thing, or we are copying the West and aping the West, and that's what they're going to become? That's what I feel.
So true, so true. And coupled with that, let me just add one little masala in there. And this little masala I'm going to call the digital world. Now we bring that in here,
Oh
and
yeah,
what happens? Everything goes for a toss because
yeah,
that becomes our focus.
yeah.
And unfortunately, when that becomes their focus, that also promotes the entitlement concept to the extent that is favored one or the other. And when that favoring happens, guess what happens? You are the sum total of five people. Now I'm going to put all things around you. The sum total of that five. So
Yes,
whatever is coming in is coming into you through osmosis using those five. Whether it's five friends, two digital and three friends, whatever. Human friends I'm talking about. So this is where we need to look at where is this entitlement concept being drilled into the individual? From the family? Yes. Additionally, the association power,
yeah.
and it's unfortunate.
And how you make your children feel. If you love, see, loving them is one thing, but suffocating them with your love is another thing. And you make them feel that you cannot live without your children are the most important thing. Fine, that's good, they are the center of your universe, make them feel loved, that's fine. But if you make them feel that you cannot live without your children. And in India, David, after they, in Australia, I've seen, after the age of 17, 18, children go out, they have their own life, they know how to do. Now, for example, a child who is 17 and he goes out, he has a girlfriend, and he needs to take his girlfriend out for a ride on his car. So he takes a rental car, or he buys a rental car, a second hand car, but he needs to put fuel in the car, and he needs to work for that. And that's where the whole thing comes. He has to work to get the petrol into the car. And now in India, the 17-year-old is very, very, very well protected inside the house. And if he becomes older and older, even after he's married, he's protected and protected. So they never stand on their feet. I'm not talking about all the children, but many of them, they never be able to stand on their own feet. And that's where I think nothing wrong in staying together, but we should not cripple our children. If we are crippling our children, they get entitled. And I can tell you that today also there was a lady in my office, and it was a story of men in our country, how they feel the entitlement because the son in a family is given too much of importance, and that male ego is heightened in the Indian population. And that's the reason that so many women are suffering today. A sister and a brother. Today, the Indian Penal Code, the Supreme Court says that the property has to be divided equally between a brother and a sister. If there are two people who are the heirs, it will go equally. But even then, today there are a lot of fights happening in families because the male person says, it is my right. That used to be old times. But today, still, I feel that many people are fighting through that. So these are some of the cultural issues which we face in India. Tell us something about Australia.
I, before I talk about Australia, I'll give you an example of what
Yeah,
you just mentioned extended into South India, because that's basically my three
yeah,
decades working through India. I had the privilege of working for a company as a coach mentor to this particular organization of student intakes, coaching and mentoring them for the first 2 years of that company, because they groom leadership from there to send them overseas to the US company. Now, and these were primarily ladies. So we ran what we call women empowerment programs, WEPs. And those women empowerment programs were conducted solely to scale up the mental resilience of the ladies, and at the same time to see and how the reaction of the male gender is there, because there's a gender in that community also, how they react to a growth in a female. Okay, now watch this. The first hour or so of a program such as that I run, I get them to debrief and break down in relation to the counseling, getting them to talk about themselves. And this story came out of one worker in that company. She was a excellent performer. She wanted to be a doctor. There were two in a family, a brother and a sister, of like what you just mentioned. This is what happened. Mom and dad cared for both of them equally as well. They mentioned to the boy baby, we've got this bank account, we've got your education going. Same with the girl baby. But when it came to the crux of the matter, the boy didn't perform as well as the girl when it came to the entrance qualification for a university. And guess what happened? Whatever money was saved for the girl child was pulled out to pay for the capitalization fee of the boy's education. Okay, and we're not going too far back. We're only going to about 2006. So it's
yeah.
in those era. And this happened, and this girl was also educated. They made sure that she was educated so she could get a good husband to be married after. So she felt hurt. She went and asked her mom, why did you do that? We both had the money, and you took my money to give it to my younger brother. And she said, listen to this. She was sharing this in public.
Yeah,
When you get married, just telling the girl child, you will
yeah,
go to the other family.
yeah.
When he gets married, he will be caring for us. So we got to make sure of our asset when it's growing older. Okay? Now, she said, I don't have anything against my parents. I'm here working, sir. She used this term. I'm here working in this company. I'm saving up so I can still continue and get and meet my dream. What is my dream? My dream is to be a doctor. Now, when I met her, she was on the third year there. 4 years after that, she became, and she had enough saved up to go in to become a doctor, entrance qualification for a doctor, and she ended up becoming a doctor 6 years thereafter. And she's one of the best performing doctors down south. And that's because she kept saying, I don't want to spite my parents. I'm going to do it on my own because that's
Yes,
my dream.
yeah.
So the entitlement is looked at from a different perspective here. And this is what people don't understand. Don't suck your thumb and say, oh, I've been badly treated. Get up and do something about it.
This brings us to another topic, David, about the entitlement that parents feel from their children, that the son should take care of me. Now,
Huh,
yeah, so today I find that it is reversed actually now. The maximum number of sons are not taking care of their children, of their
children.
parents, but it's the daughters who are taking care of their parents. Because I
Right.
find in my clinic, when a woman comes with a girl, with a daughter, and that number, it's like outbeats the number of the parents coming with their sons, because the sons are busy in their own world, whatever they're doing, and they're busy with their families, the little nuclear family what they're having, or whatever they're doing with the child and their wife and everything. That's fine. But the parents are neglected, and there's a daughter in the family, the sister of this brother. She brings that patient to my clinic, and then I ask her, what have you been doing? Are you not working today? She said, of course I'm working, but I took a leave for my mother. I took a leave. Went home. I picked her up. I brought her to the clinic. Now we're going to go for lunch, and it's like a nice day trip for us, for my mom and for myself. So that's how a girl would look at taking her mom to the doctor's place. So this is what I feel, that the caring is emotional connect is there with the daughters. I'm not saying all of them are bad or all of them are good. I've seen it's other way around, but the entitlement issue of parents from their daughters or from their sons is also flipping a little bit now. Today we feel that we don't need any, we actually say to our senior citizens, take care of your health in such a way that you don't need help from anybody, because nobody has a time today. It's not like olden times, nobody's going to sit at your bedside to take care of you. So the one thing that you can do is just take care of your own health. The other part of entitlement I have seen is which comes from the employees. When they're working with you for too long, they take you for granted, and they feel
Yes.
that they feel that they're part of the family, and they can say what they want to say, and they can do what they want to do. And that's what I'm feeling nowadays in my own clinic. People are working with me for 25, 20 years, and sometimes they just say something without even realizing what they said, and it hurts sometimes. But that is another way of entitlement. You can share some of the entitlements that you have faced and what you are going to be sharing just now.
Huge number of them. And it's unfortunate that it's areas that are there stringently put in place. For example, that case study I explained to you. The
Yeah.
same thing applied in situations where children of these, I'll give you an example. How the male, one of the key things I do when I do coaching again, this was for a batch of senior execs in Kerala. They are brought together with their spouses for get to know session, because this coaching goes for 6 months for some of them. And the first thing I do is I want to get to know the spouse. So therefore, the spouse gets to know, we talk about things, what they do, what's their perspective of husbands. It's just a behavioral psych type of a testing that we do in an informal environment. Guess what happens? The first lesson I teach the guys to do when they come for the actual coaching is not how did you do this, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, is teach them how to make tea.
Yeah.
Okay? Teach them how to make sure they can peel an onion. Okay? And then all of a sudden, I get a call from this wife who turns around and says, Mr. Nair, and this is about 2, 3 weeks downstream from the coaching, Mr. Nair, what have you done to my husband?
Yeah.
He's coming into the kitchen and
Mm.
he's making tea for me. He's cutting the onions so he can help me with the chutney. The entitlement that he had of him being the male sitting there waiting for things to be made for him is gone.
Yeah.
What did you do? And I said, very simple. Just taught them how to understand you are a human being too. Just the understanding and the appreciation. Now, those are simple things, guys. I'm just giving you illustrations of
Yeah.
what you can do to break this barrier. Because what this does is it creates that bridge. You mentioned the word just now. It creates that ego. And when
Yeah.
that ego is up at this hilt, nothing can break it. And
Yeah.
the ego is self broken, it's not broken by anyone externally. And I'll use the caption I learned from you, Alka. You know, if you had 10 seeds in your hand, guys,
Yes.
listen to this carefully out there. If you had 10 seeds in your hand and you plant all 10 seeds, how many seeds normally does grow? Not all 10, probably
Yeah.
4, if lucky 5 will
Yeah.
grow. And out of the 4 or 5 that grows, they will flourish into a seedling and then into a plant or a tree, depending on what it is. But what happens to the other 4 or 5? Why didn't it grow? Some would say, oh, the soil is not right, the water is not right, there's too much of dry weather. snow is on, all the type of questions and answers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the case. The
So when you,
seed is there in the moisture, the seed is soaking in water, and this
yeah,
particular seed does not allow the water to come in through its husk. Because it's not allowed the water to come in through its husk, it is still hardened.
yeah,
And only when that husk softens will the water percolate into the shell, and the shell becomes soft for the little seedling to germinate and come out like a seedling and grow. Now,
absolutely.
unfortunately, who is the one that allows the husk to become soft? Not the external environment, not the water, but the seed themselves. They actually loosen up.
Yeah.
So if you are sitting there like a Maharaja or a Maharani, and then you're saying, I expect
Not,
this, please come down. He will not come. Correct?
nothing changes if nothing changes.
How true, Alka.
Yeah, and
How
when you
true.
start this, yeah, and when you start this topic of couple, it reminds me, that I've been brought up with a lot of romantic songs. I've been singing a lot of romantic songs. Even today, I sing a lot of romantic songs. And there's a reverence in our life for our husbands. It doesn't come from a place of feeling low, but it comes from a place where we respect each other. It's not that I respect him more or he respects me more. It's about respecting our husband and whatever the husband is doing for us back. Now, today, if I talk about entitlement in the couple's place, the number of divorces that is going up today is because of the entitlement issues in husband and wife, because the man thinks that he deserves this XYZ thing, and if he doesn't get it, then there's a fight. And the woman today, David, I was in a place, I think it was a Mother's Day or a Women's Day program, and there were many youngsters. And when I asked them this question, how many of you would like to be served a cup of tea? And everybody's hand went up. And then I said, how many of you would like to serve a cup of tea? Not a single hand. And I was shocked with the response. I said, why not? Can you serve a cup of tea to your own husband? So one girl very slowly she got up and she said, why should I? I said, why you should not? So she said, no, I'm earning, he's earning, we're all the same, we're equal, blah, 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 blah. Why should I serve him a cup of tea? I said, just try, just think about it. Just try making a cup of tea, sit with him and have that cup of tea and enjoy the cup of tea together. How does it matter who made the cup of tea? But this entitlement issue is what is spoiling the couples today in our country, and it is breaking families today, it's breaking couples today. And today I tell you, David, that it's very sad that sometimes 7 years the couple is dating, but they cannot live together for 7 days. And it's a truth I'm seeing today. And that's because of this entitlement thing, that they feel that I'm earning, so why should I do this?
And it's unfortunate because all it is to have a little switch in here that turns it to say, hey, listen, why do I need to create that boundary? I mean,
Yeah,
he's earning, I'm earning, that's okay. I can go and make a cup of tea. I can go and cut the onions like what I did there. Cut the onions. I can go do this. I can go do that. Why should there be an implicit boundary? This is what I will do, and that's what you should do. That's stupid.
that is entitlement.
Seriously. And this is the challenge. And that's my concern.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when we do that and we continue to do that, guess what
Yeah.
happens? One compounds. The compound interest works here. It
Yeah.
compounds to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 16. And you talked about the divorce. How amazing. When I first went to India in 98, there was only one family law code.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Because a close friend of mine who was a lawyer in the law courts there said, I want to take you out for dinner. Why don't you come up? I'll take you to the court's house, and which he did. Showed me the family law code. Sat in it.
Yeah.
In 2018, we did the same thing again. That's 18 years downstream. Sorry, 20 years downstream. Guess what? From one family law code to 15 family law codes.
Very
15. And it's heartbreaking. It's only one sector that's compounded, the age group, and
I
it's
agree.
frightening. So when you have something like that, How would you steer yourself through? What would you do, Alka?
So we have been wrong in every which way, David. We have made a lot of mistakes because we have given the male child a lot of importance. We have not given equal importance to the girl child in our country. The education of the girl child is not encouraged. We have not encouraged our own scriptures to our own children. We have not taught them leadership by reading out the books to our children. So there's a lot of things which are happening which are wrong actually. So we have to start correcting with our own selves. What am I? Who am I? And ultimately, David, like you are a purpose man. It comes down to a lack of purpose in your own life. What is that thing that you really want to do? Whatever you're doing, I'm a doctor. I'm here to serve the community, or what am I here for? I'm a speaker, or I'm a mentor, or I'm a coach. What is my basic purpose of my life? My most dominant purpose of my life. Why am I here? What is my why? So I think each of us has to think about what is my why, and from there everything will downflow to our children, to our spouses, to our families, to everybody. If I don't have a purpose, if I'm living a life of complete relaxation, if I'm living a life which is completely complacency, eating, sleeping, enjoying, that's what my children are going to pick up from me. If I have something which I'm doing something with the community, I'm doing something XYZ, then my children will pick that from me. So it's a question of what we are doing in our lives, whether we are consuming or whether we are contributing. What is the purpose of my life, and how, as a professional, as a family person, I can show my purpose to the world. That's what is the most important thing. And if we don't do that, then the entitlement issue is going to come up. And we are not supposed to, side with our children. Let them be on their own. Just let them do what they want to do. Let them stand on their 2 feet by themselves. Why am I today? I'll tell you, David, the parents are working so that the children can study in a far off university somewhere far away, whether they can't even afford it. They are earning to pay to the decorator to do a very destination marriage. They're only doing all these things. They're working so that they can buy a good house for their children. That is ridiculous. All your life you've been working and working and working, and if your rest of your life also, if you're going to do this for the children, for the children, for the children, that's where the entitlement comes from. That's what has to stop actually.
How true, how true. And moving on from there, Alka, because of time factor, I'm covering just skiing through some of these topics. Huh? We look at cross culture lessons in this concept of entitlement. What can you look at from a collective culture? A collective culture learns from individual cultures. What is it that we are learning? If you had a collective culture, what is it that you learn? You learn independence. What else comes out of that, Elka?
So today, independence is taken to be as freedom. I want to live alone. I want to do everything by myself, but no responsibility. Responsibility is lacking. Ownership is lacking. You are eating a pizza and you're eating a cold drink and you're eating all the junk food in the world. You're living all by yourself, but you're not responsible for your own health. Youngsters of 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 years of age, earning a lot of money, doing very well in their corporate jobs, no responsibility for their own lives. So that's what I wonder, David. Like, cross culture means what? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? If you're not
Hmm.
understanding that why of your own life, it comes back to the same question again and again. What are your values? What is the value of your parent, and what are the values of your? Sometimes I find that the parents may not have given any values, but the children themselves, they know what they want. Some of the children, they surprise me, David. They shock me actually. They come to my clinic, and the way they talk about their lives. My father used to drink, but I'm not going to drink. I don't want to become that kind of a father who beat up his wife. I want to be a good father. There are all kinds of children, but I think what comes across to me is when you know yourself better. And sitting in silence, we always teach this in Fire to Wire. Sitting in silence, reflection, you're reflecting your life, introspecting your life, who you are, what you're doing, what are your thoughts, how can you control your thoughts, and how you can find your deep down purpose in your life. That's what is going to influence your life. That's what is going to influence your life of your people around you, as your team, or whoever is there, your friends, your parents, your children, and whoever comes in contact with you.
And with that in mind, how then can the opposite, the individualistic culture, teach self reliance, confidence? independence? How will that flow through?
So you can't be an island number one. You have to understand one thing: you need each other. And I always have one sentence in my life: we only have each other. David, today the mental health of our lives are going down because we are hiding behind our phones. And we are so driven to driving, driving, driving. We are so driven with our ambitions, and the routines of our lives are tearing us apart. And we still want to achieve something, accomplish something, money, name, fame, and all of that. And we leave behind our near and dear ones, our parents who have taken care of us, our parents who have sacrificed so much for us. I remember my mother, she never got anything for herself. My dad, he never bought anything for himself. Whatever money he had, he always thought about what he can do for the children, not in a way of spoiling them, but whatever is necessary for them. He always wanted to give us the best education, the best books, and he gave a lot of time to us. My question is, how much time are we giving to our children today? And if you talk about culture, I feel that we are becoming more and more westernized. We want to go for parties, we want to go here, we want to go there, but we don't want to sit with our own people. We don't want to sit and have those lovely, beautiful conversations. I feel the small, meaningful conversations, they actually feed our ego. And the huge conversations which we have with big people, the shallow conversations, they feed our ego. So if you can avoid that, going for parties and showing off, and I'm so and so, I'm so and so, and changing your card and networking with big people, that's not helping us in any big way. If we can inhale some things from the people who are near and dear to us. If we can feed our soul, that's what is going to teach us what we want to become in our lives.
Great. Alka, can we now spend a few minutes on connecting? When you connect to people, for example, simple hug, a simple connection in relation to meeting somebody and caring for somebody, that connection generates certain chemicals inside of us. Why don't we address that aspect of it so the community out there will understand? Just as you eat, you don't
Yeah,
know what are the enzymes secreted by your body to digest the food for the nutrients to go to your body. The same way, these emotional behavioral patterns are
yeah,
enzymed by these hormones. What are
yeah.
they? Can you talk about that, please?
So everybody has heard about the dose chemicals. So when you meet people, the person next to you, so do you want to be with people? How many people in your life make you happy? How many people in your life you really want to sit with them, who are not fault finders, who look for beauty in the world, who are positive, who are not negative, who elevate the other person? So these people are the people who are very, very calm, and they are like my husband, who never gets agitated. But one likes to be in the company of these people, and when you are happy, you get what is known as dopamine. The second chemical which comes is oxytocin. I'll give you an example. When you are stressed out, you are getting cortisol. A lot of cortisol is being secreted in your body. It's good for some time, but if you keep the cortisol levels high for a pretty long time, they cause damage to your brain, to your kidneys, to your heart, to each and every organ of your body. But if you have more of human connection, when you meet people, when you are happy with people, when you talk to people, when you share conversations with people, what comes out from that is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a cuddle hormone. It's also called the love hormone. And when love enters your life, everything changes. It is an antidote to cortisol and epinephrine. The cortisol levels falls down, the anxiety comes down, the stress comes down, the blood pressure comes down, your cardiovascular health improves, your immunity also improves. So being with people is the only thing that we have today to show our interdependence, to show our love. And when love enters into our life, we get oxytocin, which is the best thing for our health. The third is the serotonin. Serotonin will come out when you go out in the sunlight, when you're going and walking in the sunlight. How many of us are spending time underneath the sky today? Serotonin is an anti anxiety drug, and it is present in most of the medicines which are used for depression. The fourth is endorphins. Endorphins are again secreted when we are moving our bodies. So all these hormones, and plus we have some more hormones, like when you go out for a walk, we have BDNF, which helps your brain to make more of neurons. There are many, many hormones. There may be some undiscovered hormones, but friends, all of this leads to only one thing: that be like a river, flow into the hearts of people. Don't be like a rock. And if you're like a rock, the ice settles on the rock, and it becomes very, very hard. I've gone through this myself. I had become like a ice packed rock, and only when people entered my life, when the sunshine entered my life in the form of people, it melted the rock and the ice into a free flowing river. This is all I want to say about the hormones. It's my favorite topic, and I get flown away because of that. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're coming close to the close of the session too, but before we do that, I've got an exercise for you to sort of roll out for people. What are some parental guidances that you can, practical guidances that you can give for parents in this subject that we just addressed? Um, let's look at it from an age group, Elka. Uh, Mothers and fathers for their children. What are some guidance you can give? Grandparents, which you are one of, and Manoj, what can you give to it? And not overgive, okay? We got to
Yeah.
make sure that. And if they're grandparents, third generation. Thank you.
So I have only one answer, and that is communicate. Communicate freely. Communicate freely with your children. Children to communicate freely with the parents, even when the child is small. Just listen. Listening is very important. What is the child saying? You can get to know all about his friendships. You can get to know all about his school activities when you just listen carefully. If you're not there for the child, if you're not listening to the child, you will never know what is going wrong in the child. The company that he keeps, he'll come and tell you. He's going to tell you the stories of his class, of his school, of his neighbor, of the baby next to him, of the baby who hit him, of the baby who bullies him. All that is going to come to you. And if you're not listening, if you're not there for the child, then you can do nothing to solve the problem a little later. If our child is getting spoiled into some bad habits, we will never know, David. I remember one of my classmates, her brother came home and he told his father, "Today I had a smoke." He was only in standard 5, and the father slapped him. Do you think that this child is going to tell the truth to his father after that? He'll never tell the truth to his father. We don't give space to our children to tell the truth. We encourage them to tell lies because we're not listening to them. If he's saying that he had a smoke, just sit down with him and talk to him. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And tell him what is smoking, what is bad about smoking. You can't slap the child. So I think keeping the communication channels ready, open between the parents and the children. I remember when I had a boyfriend, I told everything to my dad. My dad knew who is this boy in her life. And I was talking and talking and talking all the time. And my dad knew that there is somebody in her life and he wanted to meet this person. So keeping the communication open is very, very important. And then you got to put some things to them. Not teach them, but you got to be yourself the role model of what you want to teach to your child. If you want to be a disciplinarian, you have to discipline yourself. You have to go to bed early. You have to get up early. You have to exercise. Eat healthy. You can't order food and then tell that child to eat the dal chawal in the house. He's not going to eat that dal chawal. If you're eating biryani, he wants the biryani. So you got to be the role model. Whatever you're doing, just do it with the child. Nothing more is required, David. Whether it's grandchildren, grandparents, or parents, nothing more than that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Alka, with that, I really want to sort of also understand the boundaries that we can broadly give a guideline for individuals to work around so they, when they're getting into this entitlement concept, they can then look at, okay, no, 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 like what your little Kabir would say. Or on the flip side, they can turn around and say, I'm going to get involved in it. Just identify a few boundaries.
So love your children. We all love our children, but there is a boundary for that also. When we overgive, like you already said, that when you overgive, when you show that your children are your everything, they are your everything, but you don't have to show it in thousand different ways, because I think every human being has to have a project of his own. Your children are not your project. You are your project. You have to you have to see how you can go up in your life. What is, like they say, you're the CEO of your own life. How are you maneuvering your life to go ahead in your life? So when the children are gone, when you give too much to the children, and when the children leave you and they go, then you are crying and crying and crying. That's not what I want for parents. I want parents to understand your duty is there for bringing up the children to a certain level, and beyond that, let them go and find their own way. You have to be strong enough to let them go. Let them go and find their own way. Let them work hard. But you have to also have some purpose in your own life. If you don't have any purpose in your life, all the mothers today, let me tell you, David, they just give up their jobs. When MBA lady comes to my clinic, her daughter is now 11 years of age. She's still gone back to work. What happened? Then they go into the lethargy zone. And then when the daughter is gone, she'll go to college. I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. So parents have to understand that they have to have a goal in their own life, their own purpose in their own life, and their own project which they can work on. Your children are not your project. This is what I want to share to everybody.
Good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you, Alka, so much for being first here and secondly, sharing your thoughts and wisdom over the last few decades of your working. Tonight's discussion reminds us that entitlement is not a cultural issue. It's a human issue, friends.
Yeah.
So if it's a human issue, what you now need to look at is how can you be the fixer for it? Whether we come from joint families or whether we come from nuclear families, it's not the point. The point is how can you go fix it?
Yeah.
Simple. If it is to be, it is up
Up
to
to
me.
me.
You take the stock of it and you balance between right and responsibility so you can then steer yourself to help others understand this concept of entitlement.
Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you
you,
so much.
David, for having
Take care
me.
now.
It was
Have
really
a
nice.
wonderful night. Huh? Take care now. Bye.
Bye.